How did ancient humans communicate with each other? Imagine, you are standing in the middle of a vast savanna 100,000 years ago. No cities, no phones, no books, no language that you are familiar with. In front of you, a group of primitive humans is preparing to hunt an antelope. One person points toward the distant grass. Another nods. A third person gestures with their hand. A few seconds later, the whole group moves in unison, as if they had planned it all along. The strange thing is, they might not have used a single complete sentence. So how could that happen? The evolution of sound and gesture. Today, language seems like a given. We talk every day with barely a second thought. But looking back at human evolutionary history, the ability to communicate through language is actually one of the greatest mysteries to ever exist. And that story began long before the first words ever appeared. About a few million years ago, our ancestors were not too different from modern-day primates. If you watch chimpanzees in the wild, you will see them constantly communicating with each other. They shriek when they spot a predator. They make a different sound when they find food. They use facial expressions, eye contact, and body posture to express emotions. To us, those sounds might seem simple, but in their world, it is an entire information system. Scientists believe that the earliest prehistoric humans communicated in a similar way. A shout could mean danger. A hand gesture could mean follow me. A gaze could be a warning. For hundreds of thousands of years, that system worked quite effectively. The need for a new tool. But then, human life began to change. As brains grew larger, human groups became bigger. More complex hunts emerged. Humans began to need to convey ideas that were not visible right before their eyes. For example, last time, I saw the herd moving toward the river. Or, tomorrow, we should walk toward the rising sun. This is information regarding the past and the future. And that was the problem. A simple shout or gesture was not enough to express such ideas. Mankind needed a new tool, something that could turn thoughts into information. And from there, language began to shape. Biological and neurological revolutions. No one knows the exact moment humans spoke their very first word. There are no fossils of speech, no audio recordings from prehistory. But scientists have found many clues. One of them lies right inside our own bodies. Compared to other primates, the structure of the human larynx, voice box, is incredibly special. The larynx sits lower in the throat. The tongue is more flexible. The mouth can produce a far richer variety of sounds. Thanks to these small changes, humans can articulate hundreds of different sounds, combine them into words, and combine those words into sentences. But biology alone was not enough. The real revolution lay inside the brain. Humans possess specialized brain regions for processing language. They help us understand the meaning of words, arrange sentences, and communicate ideas. This is something no other animal on Earth can do to a similar degree. The ultimate superpower, sharing knowledge. However, the greatest value of language does not lie in small talk. It lies in the sharing of knowledge. Imagine you are a prehistoric hunter. You spent years learning how to track prey. If you die without passing on that experience, all that knowledge dies with you. But if you can tell your children about it, the knowledge lives on, and it gets improved across generations. This is the true superpower of humanity. A tiger cub must learn to hunt on its own. A bird must learn to survive on its own. But humans can inherit thousands of years of experience from those who came before them, thanks to language. This created a very special effect. Knowledge began to accumulate. One person learned from the previous. One generation learned from the last. Tools got better. Hunting techniques became more efficient. Human groups coordinated more effectively. While other animals remained virtually unchanged for tens of thousands of years, humans continuously progressed. Some researchers call this cultural evolution, and it happens much faster than biological evolution. The living libraries. But before the existence of writing, another question arose. How did humans store information? Today, we have books. We have computers. We have the internet. Prehistoric humans had none of those. So, where was their library? The answer is, in stories. Every evening, as darkness fell and the fire crackled in the middle of the camp, The elders told stories to the children. It could be the story of a successful hunt, a great flood, a dangerous land, or the rules that the entire tribe had to follow. At first glance, it seemed like mere entertainment, but in reality, it was data storage. Each story was a package of knowledge. Each storyteller was a living library. Messages across time. Then one day, humans found a way to communicate that was even more powerful than the spoken word. They began to draw. Around 40,000 years ago, in the dark caves of Europe, humanity's first artists left their marks on stone. Wild bulls, herds of horses, the hunts, mysterious symbols. They might not have known it, but they were creating messages that would outlive their own lifetimes. Tens of thousands of years later, we still stand before those paintings. We still see what they saw. We still feel what they wanted to convey. That is the magic of communication. It didn't just help humans coordinate hunts or share food. It allowed one brain to connect with another. It allowed thoughts to transcend time, transcend distance, and even transcend death. And if you look at it that way, the text message you send today, the conversation you have with your friends, or even this very video you are watching right now, they are all descendants of those first calls that echoed around the campfire tens of thousands of years ago. A long journey from the hand gestures of prehistoric humans to the words that built the entire civilization of mankind.